everybody. My name is Eric McLeod.
And I'm Chris Holden.
And you're listening to LowBlowRadio podcast, the blow-by-blow of what's happening this week in wrestling, especially Dynamite this evening, what we just watched. It is Wednesday, June 24th, 2020. Chris, what's going on in the world of wrestling?
Oh, well, let's stick to Dynamite for the most part. We won't go through a blow-by-blow of the whole week, mostly because this evening news is breaking as Dynamite's happening. I guess earlier this afternoon, story broke about some positive test results that are going to come out from the WWE. We're not going to worry too much about talking about that during the show because there hasn't been much more released. And it'll be happening while we're talking if it does. So, that is happening, though, or has happened. And I suppose
there were some
repercussions of that directly led to Dynamite tonight, or some changes to that card too.
True. Even, I mean, like if we just wanted to touch on the news that affected Dynamite specifically earlier today, like the fact that it came out earlier today, like that QT Marshall and the match with the Natural Nightmares wasn't going to take place tonight because QT Marshall had come in contact with somebody who had the coronavirus outside of the wrestling facility and that kind of stuff. So he was opted to by the doctors to not come to the taping and all those kind of things. So they moved that match. We'll get to it when we get to it, but the FTR did not end up taking them on. And then the other match that was affected was Jon Moxley was also pulled from this particular taping due to being in contact with someone who was in contact with someone who had the coronavirus. So make of that what you will. But as the news comes out, you know, maybe more will come of that. But yeah, we hope for the best for Johnny. It was safer for him to just be tested somewhere else, and then hopefully he'll be back for Fighter Fest next week. But again, as well as those specific things and what else happened in wrestling, a few alterations to the card, but they were still able to put on quite a fantastic Dynamite tonight, I think.
Yeah, that's the only other subject in wrestling really this week that anybody's talking about is the hashtag Speaking Out movement that broke on Twitter early in the week. And same thing. There's still more and more happening. Shakira closed down apparently while we were watching Dynamite, so we don't know much of the details about that.
Happening all day. Attack Pro I've heard about as well today, and just there's more and more about ongoing with everybody. It seems it's so hard to try and touch on. We don't want to seem that we're avoiding it or anything like that. We're well aware of what's happening in the world, but we're also timely here with what we're recording, so we're never sure where to touch on these things, and we're not sure since we're not a general news sort of service here with this particular podcast.
Plus, particularly broadcasting on YouTube, which is an international broadcasting medium, and the allegations coming in all over the world. Laws and rules are different all over the world regarding what you want to actually say about anything. So it's nearly not our place to analyze that kind of stuff. Obviously, the movement speaks for itself. There's no place in wrestling or society in general for the behavior, and that's
Absolutely.
It. But directly implicating Dynamite tonight with Sammy Guevara, Guevara had been suspended by AEW earlier this week indefinitely while he gets some counseling and rehabilitation because of statements he had made 4 years ago that were released. And
Jimmy Havoc was also released and is said to be taking rehab treatments. His was not for it was again in the same sort of speaking out thing, but it was for alcohol related incidents with fans and things like that. This has been an ongoing thing with Jimmy, unfortunately. So I mean, if this is the help they think Jimmy needs to get, that it's understandable. So you hope that these guys get the help they need and the things they need sorted out, and we can get back to just enjoying Dynamite the way we like to enjoy Dynamite.
So yeah, it took him out of the match with Matt Hardy. They replaced him with Santana of the Inner Circle instead.
Yeah, another last minute quick sort of replacement here due to just sort of course, circumstances and everything else. Very understandable. And
so it was switcheroo night on Dynamite. The advertised card not subject to change was in full effect this evening.
Absolutely. I say it happens to everybody in the wrestling industry, and that's why you advertise it that way. You never know what's going to happen. And again, this was very unforeseen circumstances. Thank you very much. That you never know what to, you're always going to have some sort of way to book around, and it's nice to see what AEW are able to pull out and what they're able to sort of, work around and what they're willing to mention and those kind of things too. So we'll get to that as we do our blow-by-blow coverage here of AEW Dynamite on Wednesday here. We kicked off with Wardlow taking on Luchasaurus in a lumberjack match. What did you make of this?
It was a great match for two such big guys. Luchasaurus, he shows us the lucha part of his name whenever he gets a chance to. But Wardlow was surprisingly agile as well. I didn't know that he was as good a worker as he was, I guess.
For sure.
I looked at him in that Diesel role, right? But he's a lot better than I think even Nash was in his early days as the bouncer.
Oh, for sure. I think he's like, you can almost compare him more to Cage. I'm not as familiar with Wardlow from like other stuff, only what he's done here in AEW. So, we've only really been exposed to him more in that Diesel sort of role. But when he gets in the cage, there, maybe not so much in the Cody match, but like in his like jobber throw guys around match, especially with like Marco and things like that. He, just shows a really kind of different sort of skill set as well as being a big, bulky guy. Yeah, this was quite the sort of Haas on Haas battle, which you've been dying to see from some of their bigger guys here in AEW. So interesting, different way to kick off too. We're a little more catered to like a hot tag match that kind of kicks off AEW normally, but I mean, say everything's different. They're never on a specific schedule or anything like that. Always cool to see them doing something different. And the first time doing a lumberjack match. Who are your favorite lumberjacks out there?
Probably Penelope Ford. Who would have known?
Oh, surprise. I enjoyed the Best Friends because they dressed up for the occasion. They were the best dressed lumberjacks, and I think got over all night long, which was fantastic. So
yeah, the promo they did later on in the evening was fantastic. Their video package stuff has proven to be every bit as good and finely tuned as WWE's production work on their pre stuff. Yeah,
they're just finding a way to just like. They like the people understand, like the people who work for AEW understand these characters, and now they're figuring out a way to explain them to people better too. So it's helpful all the way around. Getting back to this match, great sort of just hostile back and forth. Obviously, then led to the big sort of brawl. A lot of the big spots off the top. You gotta love Marco Stunt again. The height that Wardlow got when he threw him was just.
That was awesome.
Give it up to him.
Surprise, it turned into a lumber brawl.
Yeah. Another weird one where it's just like, I'm trying to remember the rules for a lumberjack match, but I don't think there'd be a count out rules. Like it's dependent on.
Well, because there's not supposed to. That was why it didn't make sense the one time they started talking about the ref counting them out.
Well, it's JR, and he just sort of
you back in the ring.
Yeah, that's the point.
The count out is irrelevant because. Like within, to get thrown out, lumberjacks beat you for a while, throw you back in. So the ref shouldn't even start the count. Shouldn't matter.
And he didn't. It was just JR. He didn't do a count. JR was the only one saying, "Oh, he should be refs being a little lenient with the count here."
Oh, it was boss time.
Yeah, it was boss time.
Boss time. I thought I heard the referee saying numbers when I heard that, but
no, it was. If I remember correctly, it was specifically just JR that was like pointing that out. And again, I'm just sort of.
Oh, Jimmy.
Oh, between the JR stuff and like a few other, I had a couple of botchamania moments that I might see in a couple of weeks if Matthew was watching tonight.
There were a few sloppy spots in a few matches.
For sure, but no, I think this was a great way to showcase these two guys.
Sure.
At the beginning of the match, like to start in this feud and stuff like that, you weren't really sure who was really supposed to go over. But I like on the social aspect that MJF adding that aspect that like, well, this is Wardlow and I are friends, but it's business first. If Wardlow doesn't win, he doesn't get paid. So that adds this other layer to this where, well, okay, then that explains why Wardlow not always, but would have to, cheat to win if he's not going to just sort of job somebody out. And like, if he has a little bit more of a challenge, that's kind of what he's up against in that situation. So I like that little seed sort of layered in there too, because if that is what cost them at Fyter Fest or somewhere else down the line, then again, that's just sort of a nice little seed that plants. And then when you get that tree, it's just so beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we love wrestling.
Well, and particularly these guys, they've done such a good job of all of that stuff lately.
Yeah, for sure.
Good
great way to hype all these guys.
Fyter Fest match between the 4-way or the tag team match.
Yeah.
So, I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, great way to showcase these guys. Then we got into a quick little promo just from Taz, doing his sort of Taz techniques, really putting over Cage, getting him ready for Fyter Fest. I think maybe this was just sort of segmented again early on to sort of, because they were probably going to have Moxley more showcased on the show tonight, but due to circumstances, things had to be altered, and it became a more Cage heavy in that sense, which was fine. And they get Cage, the machine is over. If you've never, for the people who are unfamiliar with him, they're doing a very good job, I think, of like showcasing him enough in that sense. He's not kind of getting overblown that you're excited enough to see what he can do against the champion. It's not sort of too jockey of a position or anything like that. He was so dominant in the ladder match that it's a good place to see him in here. So
it's like you said, I think this was piece promo set up and designed when Moxley was wrestling on the show, so it made more sense than selling the champ. They've done a great job of selling this guy as a contender and as a viable opponent for Moxley, and a different opponent for Moxley, right? So
yeah. I mean, Brody Lee brought a different set of skills. Hager's bringing a different set of skills. So yeah, all these guys are sort of again, a different challenge
big
for
guys,
Moxley.
But different big guys.
Yeah.
Right. So Dr. Britt Baker isolated in a plexiglass with security on standby. I love it.
Keeps elevating. No, they're coming up with again just great ideas for her to keep her on the show. I really enjoyed the note of like she needed to do a diagnosis on Luchasaurus to find out why his tongue's green. Just the little things. She's been too perfect. I mean, all this stuff with her and Shivani all night. Again, it's the running stuff too.
No.
Yeah, like I said, specifically made notes about that one. It was just so great. I think that again, it's nice to not just have it be one little quick segment you forget. It's just pedaled in a little bit, but it's not too overblown where you're just like, oh, you don't forget that she's out there, but again, she's not reminding you every match. So this was a great sort of lead in, especially just to think about the women right before we get a great squash match from Hikaru Shida.
Yes, that was fast. There was a lot of red in that ring.
Oh yes, little red velvet.
Not for long, but there was a lot of red in that ring for about.
No, I think she lasted about 10 seconds. It was
one high running knee, one Falcon Arrow later, 1 3 count.
Yeah, no, it was great. She got all hyped up from Penelope on the outside when they were coming in. Her and Sabian were really getting in her face, getting her all amped up, and she used that energy to just get in there and just demolish this girl. So all on Hikaru Shida going in here. She's been shown as a new sort of dominant champion. It's nice they're not just sort of going straight back into the Nyla feud. It's igniting this new one here with Penelope, and Penelope's doing great things. I mean, they could put the belt on her too right now. Who knows what they're doing right now in the women's division. So
I get the feeling that they're just building Penelope as this credible contender. So Shida's going to go over and increase the prestige of her reign.
For sure, but I think there's just enough sort of mystery right now, not like going on, that you never know, right? So
you see him heading to Nyla Rose and Shida again, because Nyla's going to be on the second week of Fyter Fest and apparently has a big announcement and something special and a mystery opponent that she'll be taking on.
I'm hoping that's just like either to bring a new girl in or showcase somebody else. But I mean, they need, as much as like I'm not the biggest Nyla fan, like, I feel like maybe she just needs a little bit of work. She's still a great performer and a wrestler and a great character and that kind of stuff. So she should be showcased on the shows, just in maybe a different aspect. So if they can find a different way to keep her on there, they need more women on the show. So I'm not going to complain about more showcased women's matches. So
it makes sense.
See what happens.
The position that Nyla Rose was put into on the card, it makes sense for a new contender in the division to show up and want to challenge her. So I could see that because I think she's in that kind of position, right? The first champion.
Yeah.
You're the kind of person that I'm going to make a name for myself on. And then win or lose, you've still kind of gotten that rub in your shot. It just seems strange when it's a mystery one that almost seems like I've brought them in. I'm setting up this person, which suggests it's going to be someone set up for her to squash.
Well, or it's like she's calling like an open challenge or something like that.
That would be really...
there's always ways around. It's not about always bringing a jobber into squash or whatever. Maybe she's...
That would be in an open challenge sense if she just threw it open out there and somebody else came out that you would never have expected to
challenge
see.
Me here on Fyter Fest. It's either a good way to get Sheeta over, or not Sheeta, but again, Nyla over, and again, another big squash if you just need one of those on the card. But yeah, another way if you were going to try to bring someone else on, Nyla seems to be in a good place right now to take a few losses to then be coming back later, in my mind. So
Yep. The third match was our promised tag team match with Brody Lee, Mr. Brody Lee, and his partner for the first time, Colt Boom Boom Cabana.
Did you want to talk about the press conference a little before that?
Oh, well, sure. Yeah, I didn't even scribble it down on the notes. It was
I enjoyed it. I thought I'm gonna say I actually took a few notes for it. I enjoyed the stare down once Hager got there. I feel like Hager's really coming off like an MMA fighter. Like they're doing their best to like portray that aspects of him. It's not just sort of this side thing. Like he's an MMA fighter that also fights here in AEW. Like he wears his MMA gear when he wrestles. It's very much a cross contamination here that I'm enjoying. I liked that. Yeah, he came out, didn't bother to cut anything. He was just like, take the pictures. That's all we need to do here. Like,
yeah.
And then again, it was this, I guess, the typical sort of Arn Anderson, Cody promos, but I liked that it was a different sort of thing. The press conference was cool. I like when they do something different here too.
It was different. Yeah. I thought it was a little odd to do it that way versus.
Well, it was better than just a table in the ring and a contract signing.
I was just going to say, it's a contract signing. It's a press conference for a thing. It's just an excuse for the angle at the end of the day. And
I'd rather see it like that, though. It feels like boxing. It feels like MMA. So.
Yeah, to do something different at least. And New Japan do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
To do something that's different than our standard at the same for each match, I'm for that. So whether it's a little odd or whatever, I'm not against it at all. I think the best part, the highlight of it for me was to square off at the end and the fist in the face from Hager. And then Cody smacks his arm away, and then as he's not looking, the wife gets ready with a glass of water in his face. I thought that was pretty slick. So I'm surprised that Brandy wasn't more prepared with a glass of her own water or something to throw back and pull off his shoe and throw it across the stage. But
she seemed ready in there. Cody was shutting it down pretty quick, and then they kind of cut away. So, no, I kind of enjoyed this. I like that it was kind of pre-taped. It was sort of done at a different time. Like they could have maybe done like a weigh-in thing as well with this. They've been doing that with other matches as well in the championship style. So I could have seen them maybe doing something like that too. I like tying in the MMA with the wrestling, especially with Hager's characters, particularly. So, and he gets the belt over too quite a bit in my mind.
Sure. Yep.
And then, just before we got to the match, we did have the second half of the sort of video package with Janela and Sonny Kiss. Sort of getting over their tag team. I liked their brawl in the parking lot with the people at the gas station and stuff like that, hitting people with grocery bags. And
and nothing against the skit. It was fine. It made at this particular moment made me think too much of the ninjas.
Fair enough. I feel like this is very separate from that. It was just sort of to get these two over as a fun new sort of tag team. Yeah. Obviously the brawlers from the garbage or the gas station aren't going to show up on Dynamite anytime soon. So
we don't be careful what you wish for. We can.
I highly doubt it. I highly doubt. I'd put money on that one. So, anyways, we can now get to Colt Cabana teaming with his maybe new partner here, Mr. Brody Lee, taking on who we were just talking about, Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. Yes, what did you make of this?
I thought it was a really good match, and he said talking on commentary about Kiss and Janela team together the night before on Dark.
Yep.
On Sylvan Reynolds from the Dark. Sylvan Reynolds.
Yeah, Reynolds and Silver from the Dark Order. Yeah.
So I think I'll probably check that out at some point because they won that match. So
it was great. Yeah, they've won all their matches on Dark. They were undefeated going into this match.
So I thought
it was really like 3 times. I think
they came close to getting the win a couple times. Saved off just at the last second by Brody.
They had fantastic tandem tag moves. I really enjoyed
the speed.
Yeah, there's
a lot of speed. No, I thought it was a really interesting. They're a good team. I thought it was a great match, and the storytelling again, right? The story was just so well done with Colt. Even off the very first lockup with Janela when he got thrown into the ropes and he does the couple jump overs, step overs, and then runs into the shoulder block mistimed, and you see him just slam the mat. Disappointed look on his face, like, oh, first one he got me again.
Yeah,
and tell it all the way through the match up until the end when Brody sets him up for the easy pin. And there you go, my friend. You take that cover. Well, thanks, buddy. 1, 2, 3.
No, for sure. Every little thing, like keeping him distracted when Silver and Reynolds would get involved, and completely unaware of their interference and that kind of stuff, and but then catching stuff like Brody saving him from the tope from Joey, and then putting the damage on him and then letting him take the pin. No, it really him and Colt had a little moment later on, but this really sort of again is escalating and furthering this storyline between Colt and the Dark Order.
Yeah, but a good match, elevated everybody. Again, Joey Janela's just looked outstanding.
Yeah, this is a great other place for him.
Don't think he's a bad outing with AEW yet. And not Sonny Kiss, I think this is his... I think JR said it was his first shot on Dynamite. I know he's had matches on Dark, and I know he's done stuff on pay-per-views and stuff with him, but I think JR said that. So it was JR.
It could be very possible, yeah. I'm not sure if he's actually been... If not in a while, at least, if maybe just in the early episodes, I'd have to maybe go back and see. But this could be the very well the first time. And
he looked great.
Like I was saying last time, I think it's a good thing for Joey if they're not gonna, if no one wants to have any death matches right now or anything crazy, if Darby's out and those kind of things, so they can't just keep repeating the same stuff. And if he's sort of lost in the singles division, why not hop into the tag division? There's plenty of people to keep busy with all the time. And even though this is leading to a singles match with him, we'll get to that, because at the end of the match, Lance Archer did come out and beat on the two of them, which is then leading to Joey and Lance at Fyter Fest. I think he can still go back and forth. I think he's a good guy that can go from singles to tag. This is a fun tag team with him and Sonny Kiss, and gets him on TV in a great new showcase position. Yeah,
exactly. I thought he looked. They both came off looking great. So they see more of them in the future. Expect to see that week after week on Dynamite. And then what was after? I've got FTR and SCU next. Was there another promo that I've missed?
No, I think that was. Did I have anything else written down? No, just the Lance Archer thing, and then for some reason they were just showing clips of Sean Spears and his glove. That was really quick. But I think that was another thing where, like we were talking about earlier, do enough people watch Dark? Like I watch Dark religiously, but I don't know if enough other people do, so they feel like they have to put clips like that from Dark on and mention other stuff from Dark, so people are more aware of what's happening, and maybe they're more cognizant of that now too, because maybe the numbers are coming back that they're aware that people aren't watching Dark as much as maybe they thought.
Yeah, I've watched it early on. I haven't seen Dark in a few weeks now, and not for because of anything wrong with the show or that it wasn't good.
Right.
Mostly just for lack of time than anything else. There's only so much time.
Very true. Yeah, so I mean that was the only little promo package thing, but I guess that was the only thing I kind of wrote down, was this sort of, it felt more like they just sort of had to highlight Dark stuff to sort of re-inform people that it's out there, right? But which isn't a bad thing. Dark was great this week, so
and keeping Sean Spears in front of the audience as well, doesn't it?
That too, yeah. Any place to showcase them, and then we got our what would have been, I'd say, the biggest match of the night, the SCU taking on FTR. What did you make of this one? I really enjoyed it.
Bigger than the FTR versus Natural Nightmares.
Yes.
Right? I thought this was fantastic. Really good match, which you'd expect it to be. But yeah, really good tag match. Action back and forth. A couple of sloppy little mistakes that you don't, again, because of the two teams involved and the four wrestlers involved. I think that was that much made it stand out a little bit more with it.
True. Yeah, especially when the sort of story was like FTR not being able to sort of deal with the veteran abilities of like this particular grouping of SCU, which is my preferred setup in the tag setting. Like I love Scorpio Sky, don't get me wrong, and him and Kaz had a great sort of start for SCU, but if I'm going to pick a tag team from them, I prefer this for Daniels and Kazarian. And they really got over the sort of veteran spots, thinking a few steps ahead of FTR all the time, and then led to some big brawls, and FTR just trying to get the momentum more on their side, and it took a little bit, but I like the back and forth in this a little more than like the Butcher and the Blade match we got from FTR last time.
Yeah, and I think some of that SCU's credibility is that much stronger, right?
And in name alone, I mean,
what's that?
I'm gonna say in name alone too. That's a win over the former tag champions, even though it's not the same setup. But
no, but
on the
still,
record books,
it's SCU.
Yeah, it's
SCU. And again, it's just to see FTR in the ring with SCU, the history of Christopher Daniels and Kazarian as a team, right? That's a dream match, really.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good exchange. And the other big moment that was the Lucha Brothers returning at the end of the match after Butcher the Blade stolen their truck. Sorry, commandeered their truck. It's stolen, Excalibur. The word is stolen. They didn't commandeer it. Anyway, after they stole his truck, then the Lucha Brothers returned into the ring. And that was a nice little brawl. And then the Bucks coming out as well. Interesting. So,
no, that was great.
8-man tag team match announced for Fyter Fest Week 2.
Yeah, I think we kind of predicted this last week that maybe was where, not necessarily with the Lucha Bros, but that was maybe where they were going, was to sort of see the Young Bucks and FTR more getting along before they start not getting along, kind of thing, and who's going to turn on who first, kind of deal.
Let's see how you work with these guys you hate.
Yeah. Nobody's
done that before.
Well, and if everyone's expecting FTR to be the ones that turn on the Bucks too, because the Bucks have been just nonstop faces this whole time, I'm kind of leaning the other way too. I'd rather see the Young Bucks being the ones that are kind of get fed up with FTR or whatever.
Did you notice someone was a little more clean shaven tonight in the ring for FTR?
One of them was
the Revival, yeah. He shaved his beard all the way off now. He's like totally cue ball and totally beardless. That's a pretty facey thing to do. And then he's going on at the end about how badass they are. So he wants them to be heel team. I thought they were leaning face because he shaved the facial hair. Everyone knows that South Park law. Facial hair means you're a heel.
Say that to Seth Rollins. He's had a beard his whole life.
What's that?
I said say that to Seth Rollins. He's had a beard his whole career.
Exactly. Brian Cage takes on, already in the ring, John Cruz next. And again, they use squish matches quite a bit, but I think they use them so effectively that I don't think there's been one I've really complained about yet. And this, again, second time for the evening to have a squash match go in the ring, but it fit, man. And that powerbomb from outside the ring to back into the ring on Cruz, that was phenomenal. Looked awesome.
Yeah, even just like I say, we touched on the match for sure, but even when you're talking about just like the squash match in general, it was just the whole setup. Like last week's match was so tag heavy and so like specific those match heavy. We had like at least 3 matches that went, I'd say at least 12 minutes, maybe 15 for some. So it was like very heavy and long, specific storytelling matches. Whereas tonight, like I don't think we got, like, other than the FTR match, we didn't get anything that went over 10. But I think that was because they wanted to build the anticipation for Fyter Fest next week, right? Like it's not about every week having to be hot, hot, hot. It's about, you know, cooling and heating and those kind of things. And that was, every match just felt like it was like watching Sheeta get her squash made you want to see her get in there with Penelope. Watching Brian get this big squash makes you want to see him get in there with Moxley even more. You didn't need to see him in there for a 10-minute, 15-minute match with somebody with a back and forth and all that kind of stuff. Save that for Fyter Fest, right? So
as much as
perfect placement for a squash.
Yeah, as much as they promoted Fyter Fest as a pay-per-view quality show, this was the go-home show to a pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I think they set that up perfectly by not kind of going too much and just giving you enough to sort of be like, ooh, okay, yeah, I want a little bit more of that. I want a little bit more, yeah.
Taz selling the match on commentary was good, but his post-match promo was vintage Taz.
Yeah, straight down the pipe, right to Moxley at home, calling him out for this situation they're in. And yeah, I'm going to say classic heel stuff, but yeah, the sort of familiar Taz we are used to seeing from the past. Nice to see here as well. The fuck the world towel. I like that he's got that now, and the little touches.
Yeah, I thought that was a great thing. Then we had Brody bringing Colt in even closer.
Yes.
Closer, and I love it. It's so great. Cabana's facial expressions. He's one of my favorites for years now. He's been one of my favorites. I think I told you he's one of my close personal friends. He sent one time.
Talked to you on Twitter before, correct? Or liked
well,
he said on Twitter? Of course.
I think he replied.
What are friends for?
So yeah, he's one of my best friends. And yeah. He was fantastic. It's just the way that
Oh, he sold it with his face. He's just like, you can see the wheels are just turning, and then like when Brody started saying stuff like calling out SCU, trust me, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
It's just like,
the look on his face, SCU.
SCU.
What?
Whoa, that's
Hold
a big step
here.
up from Janela and Kissa, but I guess I'll have to trust you. But no, I think this is a great sort of the next sort of seeds, and it was a very interesting place for Brody to go straight up after the title loss. It doesn't feel like he's just sort of floundering at all. It's a new sort of momentum shift for the Dark Order, and I like this sort of like combination. He's bringing Stu over, which is obviously like the most aggressive out of all of the rest of the Dark Order guys and most effective. So the three of them taking on who's it going to be? It'll be all of SCU. Yeah, it'll be
sorry, SCU. Yeah, not Jurassic Express.
So I think that it'll be a very, very interesting matchup. So we'll see where this leads, and if it finally sees Colt in a mask, or if he'd be just good enough like he doesn't have to wear a mask like the rest of the guys, we'll see.
I think he'll wear the mask.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm excited for heel Cole too. Actually, yeah, he's so great. So I think if they pull that trigger, that'd be great. And then we got the big full rundown of night 1 and night 2 for Fyter Fest. What did you make of the sort of match setup and things? I sort of stand out to you.
I don't know if anything stands out as much as just what a great card it is in general. Yeah. I mean, imagine seeing it as one night on a pay-per-view. This would have been spectacular. But as it is, even as 2 weeks of free TV, that's 2 stacked weeks. I'm looking forward to what NXT finalized their lineup as. Did you?
I was going to say, I feel bad I wasn't keeping up on the like nice news for everybody, but I did hear a little inkling from NXT this evening that I haven't actually watched.
No, I've heard nothing.
Apparently what they're calling next week or the week after's like event is going to be a Great American Bash.
Okay.
Because it's the first or whatever, so that's their sort of way to compete.
Okay. Well, yeah. Right on. Interesting.
Yeah. NXT, your idea that NXT is slowly becoming WCW is becoming more and more true.
The number of trademarks and the number of things they've done, if they just suddenly said, you know what, here it is, it's WCW now, not NXT, wouldn't surprise me anymore. I think Excalibur said 2 or 3 times, it's too big for one night in regards to Fyter Fest, and I did think that was a little bit. And I don't know if he's saying that. It
almost is when I look at the
catchphrase on it, or if that was deliberately trying to be WrestleMania's, explicit Raw comparison.
Fair enough. No, I see what you're saying, but when I look at like all these matches, it does almost feel like it would have been too much for one card because I wouldn't want some of these matches to be too short. So I'm glad that it is over 2 nights because like for 4 hours, basically what you're going to get with commercials.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't hurt it.
A lot of these matches are going to get a lot of time to breathe and not feel that they're going to be crammed on a card. Like I wouldn't want to see the Cody and Hager match be too slow. I wouldn't want to see the tag team championship match not treated as like, the full length that they usually get kind of thing.
Looking at 5 and 6, 5 on week 1, 6 matches week 2. And week 2 includes Murder Hawk and Janela and Nyla Rose's mystery opponent match.
Yeah.
So either one of those could be quick. Right? So, yeah.
Yeah,
no, you're right.
Sure.
I think it's well paced out.
No, for sure. I guess, I think the Young Bucks, FTR, Lucha Bros, Butcher Blade match could go quite a bit, too. And I'm glad it's going to have time to, like, I could give that the whole first half. Like,
So, well, the Page and Best Friends match, I could watch that for half an hour, I imagine. I don't think I'm going to get
That's what I mean. I just want to see, and then other ones that maybe could go a little shorter. It seems like they've placed them very well on the card. No one's sort of like too overshadowed or not. And I think the build's been great for this, and I'm excited for the 2 weeks of Fyter Fest.
Yep. No, same here. Role model Britt Baker was then trapped inside her isolation cage by Big Swole and covered with trash.
Yes, she called her out beforehand, or she had Shivani do it, I think, saying that she was trash and all that kind of stuff. And after she kept her in the garbage can for 6 hours last week.
No, 9. 9. Despite being trapped for 9 to 10 hours.
My apologies, Brett.
You were still the stinkiest garbage on last week's show, Big Swole. And surprise, surprise, Big Swole took exception to that.
I think this is great. If they can keep building this, and then if it's on Dark or a random match again here on Dynamite at some point, you just keep having Swole get a couple of wins here and there, maybe eventually against Reba, or Reba starts interfering or something like that. There's plenty that Swole can keep doing until Britt's ready, and if they're just going to focus these two, I'm okay with that. Like for this being Britt's big first comeback sort of match, right?
I see Reba versus Swole after Fyter Fest, maybe.
Yeah.
And then, get in preparation for whenever Britt's ready. Because, every week
they're saying
another week closer. Yeah. So, Santana versus Matt Hardy. Santana stepping in for the suspended Sammy. What did you think?
This was fun. You didn't know what kind of version of Matt Hardy we were going to get. I guess the original storyline was Sammy was going to get to pick. So that wasn't the case for Santana. They kind of left it up. I don't know if this was the actual – they did do a social media poll. I don't know if that's what the official decision was for tonight. I don't know if the commentary said.
Sammy had made his decision. He had picked original Matt Hardy.
Like, but not broken? Because we got broken Matt Hardy.
Yeah, right? It wasn't broken that he picked. He picked, like, old school Matt. Or it was up on Twitter earlier in the week who he picked and on a couple of the sites.
Oh, okay. I hadn't kept up with that again. There's a million things going on in the world. So unfortunately, it's hard to keep up with the kayfabe.
This year has been ridiculous for news and wrestling.
But I'd say the story from last week going into this match was that Sammy was supposed to pick.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you follow news on a headline page, they were scrolling by too fast to possibly keep track. So nothing you can
do. Again, it's sort of a last minute thing, but I think I really enjoy Santana in a singles match. They use Ortiz really well on the outside, hyping them up and getting all that kind of stuff. They're a fantastic tag team, and again, using them on the show in a different manner isn't a bad idea. And if this sort of seemed to be leading into what was going to be their match with Private Party at Fyter Fest, that's fine too. And with Matt Hardy's kind of connection there as well.
Yeah.
Odd that Matt got the win, but I think maybe if that's just sort of to lean more for Santana and Ortiz to take them more serious at Fyter Fest, it's hard to say, but you can say Matt doesn't have to job it to everybody either.
I think, I love Santana and Ortiz as a tag or in singles. I think they're great workers. In singles competition, you can take a loss as either of them and it never hurts you because realistically you're a tag team. So
yeah, true. He's not supposed to be made in the singles, so I guess the singles loss isn't the end of the world.
Doesn't matter, right?
And Hardy's more of a singles guy right now, so no, that does make sense.
So no, I think it was an entirely different match than the presentation we were intended to see in the story we were intended to get. So it's nothing. These guys are both veterans, both good workers. They probably did just get told today this is what's happening now instead. Get out there and put a match together, and they did. It was fine. There's nothing. It was good match.
Yeah, for sure. And I wonder
if supposed to be anything special. You know what I mean? Like they did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, and I mean, in the Fyter Fest match doesn't necessarily seem too thrown together. If that was what the Sammy match was supposed to lead to anyway, like a more of a 6-man tag. Rather than
I assume it would have been a 6-man.
Yeah, rather than just an original. What they're going to get, but hey, I don't think I've seen Santana and Private Party unless we did early in the tag tournament. So excited to see what those two tag teams could pull off together. And I'm glad there's just so many tag matches going to be showcased all during Fyter Fest. I think that's just great. So
you're exactly right about last week on television. Their last week was all about the tag teams. This week it wasn't as if it was quite as tag team heavy or as focused on the show, but it certainly didn't hurt at all in highlighting once again the tag team division in AEW is so deep and so talented. Lucha Bros returning. I mean, Jesus.
Even without with only having one big tag match, you still got to have Lucha Bros returning, the Butcher and the Blade getting tangled in with that, like setting up the big 8-man, as well as Luchasaurus was fighting on his own, but Jurassic Express is always there, right? So it's a sort of a constant thing there as well. You're reminded of that. We're sort of reminded here of the other tag teams as well. So no, they do a great job of keeping people in your mind, whether they're showcased or not. I guess we did have 2 tag team matches tonight. Again, they're always great tag matches.
So how long before we get trios titles in AEW?
I want to say when we get everybody back, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. They have enough good trios in AEW. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't know. I don't want too many tag titles either.
Feels like there needs to be something else for teams to go for with this many teams and more of it. This is still just so early days and stuff's beginning. Like,
true.
I don't like.
It wouldn't hurt.
In the old days, probably before your time of it, but the NWA US Tag Team Championships that were defended on WCW television.
Right.
There came a point in that division where it was hard to care about the U.S. Tag Team Champions because there were so few teams around. You got, your world champions, your one team facing off against them, the one team on the outside that wants a world title shot, and then the U.S. champs, and that was it. There weren't other teams really to go for it. So it became redundant in a hurry.
Right.
But trios belts, where you could throw an extra person in with a tag team or split up another tag team occasionally, or 3 different tag teams, throw one member in of each team against some of the natural trios in there. Different way to do an extra competition.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not feeling a slight at all. I don't feel any tag team hasn't got their due that isn't already not on the show kind of thing. So
for sure. Yeah.
I think maybe when everybody's back, it might feel that way. But right now I'm not feeling that lag, but I could definitely see it happening. They do have so many tag teams, and when they're back at full capacity, it could certainly be a much better way to showcase. And when they have to do 2 shows, if they have belts like that on a different show, then that's fine too. I'm okay with that. But I like that they really make the tag belts feel important this way too, by having so many teams fighting for them. Yeah, and people
definitely,
not feeling that you're sort of like in a different place to fight for something else either, right? The fact that Hager went for the world title and he's going for the TNT title, to me they feel fairly similar. But we will get to our last sort of face off for the night, setting up another big Fighter Fest match. We had Orange Cassidy coming out to face off with Chris Jericho. How did you make this?
What did you make of this? Hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing that kick again that he didn't. He told him not to do that.
He told him not to do it. Oh, it was just Cassidy has this character down perfect, and Jericho gets it now too. And no, he sold it great in the early part of it, leading up to that. It was either like when I was checking my phone as soon as Cassidy started going at him, I was like, oh, okay, I thought maybe we were going to get he was going to do it like a Judas effect, and then we were just going to get credits and like see you next week for Fighter Fest. But I'm glad we got this big brawl too. It was a nice sort of way to get Orange over. It makes me a little worried about what the match could be end-wise, like if Jericho took that huge bump into the table at the end. But Jericho's just been putting guys over like crazy, so that was just a way to sort of get his comeuppance after the last few weeks, especially with the oranges and the bat and everything else. So that made a lot of sense too. They're on pretty even planes now going into the match. So,
I mean, I'll be amazed if Jericho doesn't win the match.
True, but I think he really put Orange over to quite a degree here. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've said it before, right? Orange gets the rub just from being in the ring against Chris Jericho.
I think it's the same as the Pac situation. He doesn't have to win to get the rub here. I think the rub comes from just fighting Jericho and having a great match.
And having a good match. And it should be. If they're getting to see, again, the serious side of Cassidy when he threw himself into Jericho with the tackle and then began the brawl on the outside, that was cool. The boom camera to the skull, which whether or not that was what busted him open, I didn't think that. Well, I don't know what did, but it was a weird hit him on the other ear. It was this ear bleeding. So.
Yeah, I don't know if he has like cauliflower ear issues or something like that, because it seemed like it was more like a burst side ear thing.
Maybe he was like doing that doing that Steve-O stuff this week, trying to get his ear cauliflowered.
Yeah, who knows, maybe. But
did you watch that?
Him wrestling with John Jones, is that what you're referencing?
They took a sledgehammer. He puts his ear against a steel thing and gets people to hit it because he wants cauliflower ear.
Oh, well.
I didn't see him wrestling Jones. Maybe that was part of it. Apparently,
him and Jones were skateboarding. They were hanging out all week, I guess. So maybe they're making a new Jackass movie with John Jones. We talk about all things here on Low Blow Radio. But anyway, Orange Cassidy. Yeah, I think it really put him over here. Even before that, the little subtleties, I like that we were so used to Jericho's Painmaker video and the I'm Jericho Le Champion thing. I like that it had orange and black instead of white and black this time. The subtle things, but just the little digs at Orange here. And this is a great place for Jericho. If you're not going to have him in the title scene or anything like that, getting these guys that are already over with the crowd, more over with people who are maybe not as aware of them is just, perfect.
Yeah. And, there's how many more youngsters on the babyface side are left after this for him to go up against before he has to turn on the Inner Circle and go face so that he can start taking on the heels.
For sure. I think a face turn's imminent, for sure, from Jericho and the Inner Circle's got to have a, some kind of comeuppance eventually and that sort of thing. And like anything, once it's run its course. And yeah, we got to get that big face run out of him, and eventually a feud with MJF will just be amazing. And yeah, there will be a whole new batch of guys for him to work with. So, yeah, I see what you're saying too. Yeah, we're sort of running out of maybe a few of the younger face characters. So yeah, you could maybe help more of the heels in this sense.
I'm imagining the list that Jericho is going to have of guys that he would really like to work with. And I've got to believe that MJF is going to be very high on that list.
Yeah.
Right. So
he talked about on his podcast, like he was originally someone he wanted in the Inner Circle, but they were like, MJF's going to be doing his own thing. So and that's why he ended up taking Sammy.
Yeah. But Lance Archer, I could see him wanting to work a program with. Brian Cage, I could see him wanting to work with. Yeah. Right. These guys that can take that rub off of a Chris Jericho and really get their names and elevate themselves to next level in the casual fan mind and the new AEW fan mind versus anyone that hasn't seen their previous stuff.
I mean, I'm trying to think. It's the one thing we haven't really got in AEW yet either, right? Is the big heel turn, right? We've got people defining themselves as heels and faces, but I can't think of anyone specifically being pushed as one thing and now being something else. Like maybe Britt was
MJF, kinda, right?
I mean, MJF.
That's the only one.
But even in the promos, everyone's like, even Cody, he's a bad guy to everybody else, but he's my friend. And it was the fact that he turned on Cody. Yeah. So it was a turn, but it was not a heel turn. So again,
everybody knew it was coming. This was like a Big Show turn. Oh, what a surprise!
Exactly. So no, I'm excited to see what they do when they do it. I'm anticipating one from the Young Bucks. I think with the Christian AF T-shirts and like the stuff they've been doing on Being the Elite has just been like bringing back the Killing the Business stuff. That's the side of them that is heels. That's what got them over so much. And like, no, they're not over as baby faces, but like if they're going to be reintroducing that side of them, that to me, that's what's more exciting. So I can't wait to see it.
And I tend to agree. I think it seems more of the bait and switch move to do that's classic wrestling booking, to have it looking like your FTR are going to be your classic villains, only for your heroes and current babyface love champion Young Bucks to be the ones to do it instead.
For sure.
And then again, likewise, to do it in a way where that stabs Kenny and Hangman in the back in the process.
Or if there's already sort of seeds from their match the night before, like if there's already implications from Kenny and Hangman that they're, ready to break up as. I'm curious who it's going to be there too. I feel that everyone feels it's going to be Hangman, but I want it to be Kenny, I think, in that sense too. I'd rather see the Elite try to like reform themselves, just the three of them again, the Young Bucks and Kenny, and say fuck you to the rest and sort of do their own thing. So I guess we'll see. Fyter Fest next week, week 1. A lot of great matches to look forward to, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, no, was from when they announced the card and did that rundown of it tonight, you're like, man, that is pay-per-view worthy. That is a really good stacked 2 nights of wrestling.
Yeah.
It's a shame it's got to be a whole week in between the 2 parts, really, and that's the only downside.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to go back to sort of those early Dynamites too, where they didn't have a lot of the like promos. I gotta like their promo stuff. Don't get me wrong; they're doing a great job with it. We kind of skipped over the Best Friends one with. That
was really good. Their video package.
Yeah, it was. Again, we sort of commented on it earlier, but they're just doing a great job of like. They know the characters, but now they're being able to sell you the characters as well. Understand who the best friends are, why they are the way they are. Even if it's weird and different, and that kind of stuff. Finding a way to make it work, and that promo package just made sense, and the 2 different types of friendships and the aggression there still, and it was so exciting. I cannot wait for it might be one of the matches I'm most excited for. So
having Hangman and Hangman and Omega sitting together talking about the best friends as best friends, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They're good. They are good. We're gonna kick their asses.
Yeah.
we decided to be the best tag team in the world, and we did it. Yeah. Just like that. We wanted to have a 5-star best tag team match of all time. And we did it. Kind of just like that. Hard to be humble when you're that fucking good, right? I guess.
Exactly. Well, and this is I'm going to say maybe it's little inclinations too, but that's the Kenny that, isn't the babyface Kenny we've been getting the last while here in AEW. So maybe it's something else we need to see. And I guess we'll find out next week with week 1 of Fyter Fest.
Agreed.
All right, everybody.
We want, but it's the Kenny we need.
That's right. All right, Chris, is that all for this week?
I think that's all I've got in this world-beaten, weary week of pro wrestling.
Well, sounds good. Thank you all for listening to Low Blow Radio podcast. Like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. Make sure you ring that bell, get all the notifications, all that fun stuff. Leave us some comments. Follow us on Twitter, Low Blow Radio 88.7. Check us out on The River 88.7. And we'll see you all here next time when we cover Fyter Fest.
Take care.